Park.
We are Central Park. We're at 72nd Street, just inside the park. We're looking back to the west where the Dakota, famous building for lots of reasons. One of the earliest builds on the Upper West Side. Inside the park where we are is Strawberry Fields, which is everyone has read about and knows about. We're here in mid-April, and the flowers are out. It's a little chilly, but this is also my entrance to the park. I lived on 73rd Street for a long time and then moved to the Ansonia, so we're kind of going backwards through my personal New York history. And this place, looking further to the east, there's a patch of grass over there where people just sit and have picnics. And I once rehearsed a production of Romeo and Juliet over there in the field. And that was tons of fun to do. I remember not wearing shoes much because it was really hot. I remembered nothing else about it. But over there it was somewhere.
Conal, one more question. So when you were here rehearsing Romeo and Juliet, and you were here living on the Upper West Side in the Ansonia, at that point you hadn't written any novels, right?
No. Like a good amateur, I had tried my hand at a lot of things. I was trying film, and I did a script for a couple of plays, and I was writing stories a great deal. But soon in that period of time, I started working in television. And I got hired to go do All My Children, and the time was just, that's what you spend your time doing, is the thing that you're hired to do. And I really enjoyed it. But the writing then tapered off less and less. I took 2 vacations to go write pieces, movies for TV, and it was very nice to write them, and that's about the end of that story.
Did you always know that you wanted to write these novels and that you just had to clear out the space?
Yeah, back in, oh gosh, it was about the time we bought the Ansonia. Back in 99, maybe in 2000, I was reading something on a beach in the Caribbean, and it was a modern thriller. And it was, I hated it. It was all about what terrorists were going to attack us with details on how they were going to do it. Yeah, that's what I did. I grimaced. I was like, this is wrong. And I love Agatha Christie. I'm an Agatha Christie nut. I've read each one of her 100 books at least 3 times. And I thought, I want to read that, but I'd like it to be a little more, I guess, me, updated in my world. So I wrote a version of basically these characters, Artemis, Silas, a detective story, and it was okay, but it didn't quite work. So I took notes from professionals and went back and just started reworking it. And I don't know, 10 years later I had something else to show, and then a little more refining, and here we are.
So these characters have kind of been in your head for
I'm afraid so. They live in there all the time. They talk to me all the time.
And when you're saying that, what is it that you're really, I mean, maybe you can't even say, but what are you trying to kind of bring out? What's delicious to you about?
Well, I have to answer the other half of that first, which is I hate gore, and I hate violence, and I hate plots that are stupid. Okay. I think you have to have smart characters trying to figure things out, trying to solve things, trying to survive, and trying to be supportive of each other. That's interesting, and that's a lot like life. And if it doesn't work that way, or when it doesn't work that way, that's the story. So that's where this begins. The books, I hope anyone listening to this realizes, it starts with a real-life event, which is the robbery at the Gardner Museum in 1990. And that is still unsolved. Nothing has ever been found, but in my books, they're found. Well, at least one right at the start of book 1. So,
what will happen if in the real world something is found?
Well, first of all, I truly hope they are found.
Yeah.
It is a disaster that those were stolen and never seen again is completely wrong. But I will have to rewrite some books in a hurry, but I wouldn't mind that. That would be for the best.
I thought it was so interesting. I didn't see COVID coming.
Who did?
I mean, who did? But in the books either. And I thought, wow, this is like I loved how you flowed with
Thank you.
How that came in.
Well, I had a completed version of the book, and this would be January, even February 2020, and it's supposed to be taking place right this second. And Artemis is a germaphobe, and COVID was becoming. And I realized it'd be impossible to ignore it. The whole story is that this germaphobe is in the land of COVID, and he has to figure out all things.